Здравствуйте. Сегодняшний день был днем церемонии выпуска из Кингсон-института. Это был очень значимый выпуск. Это был значимый выпуск, потому что более 10 человек, по-моему, 11 человек выпускалось русскоязычных ребят, 8 из них из нашего, скажем так, проекта, наших ребят. Ну, если хотите, ребят, которые шли с агентом Александром Петровым. Но еще более значимым был выпуск, потому что на нем присутствовал генеральный консул Российской Федерации в Сиднее. Это было очень важно, потому что обычно консул приходит в те учебные заведения, которые имеют особое значение для Российской Федерации. И это обычно крупные университеты. Это, наверное, один из очень редких случаев, когда генеральный консул приходит на выпуск в частные университеты. И огромная благодарность ему и его помощнице очаровательной Екатерины о том, что они нашли время переговорить со мной, поговорить с нашими студентами, поговорить с нашей администрацией КОИ. И мы наметили очень важные, скажем так, очень важные этапы нашего сотрудничества. Были определенные вопросы. Я думаю, что в мае у нас состоится встреча генерального консула с ребятами, которые выпустились из КОИ и которые учатся в КОИ. Естественно, я буду там приглашен. Ребята будут задавать вопросы. Уже сейчас они будут задавать эти вопросы. И генеральный консул будет на них отвечать. Мы планируем, что Кингсон-институт продолжит работу на так называемом русском рынке. Мы будем участвовать в академической научной работе, исследовательской работе. Эта работа будет направлена и проводиться в интересах федерального правительства России, региональных правительств. То есть мы работаем с Магнитогорском и будем работать с Воронежем. И вот это вот направление очень важное. Кингсон-институт собирается показать, что русский рынок, он не боится показать, что русский рынок очень важен для института. Соответственно, будет проводиться работа с теми ребятами, которые уже здесь. И, кстати, не только Кингсон-института. То есть на базе КОИ мы создаем своего рода центр по общению, скажем так, по выработке совместной политики, позиции с российской стороной, в лице, конечно, генерального консула и его аппарата, с учебными заведениями российскими, Кингсон-институтом и той общины, которая относится к профессионалам, к людям, которые приехали профессиональным визом, людям, которые учились здесь и остались здесь на базе этого образования, естественно, те, которые учатся. Таким образом, мы создаем небольшую, по сравнению с другими, может быть, русскоязычными общинами, общину в Сиднее, которая будет очень успешно работать именно по поддержке образования. Я не думаю, что нам удастся вообще или в будущем, ближайшем, попасть в ряд учебных заведений, которые работают в рамках Сколковской программы, то есть работать с офисом господина Медведева напрямую, я имею в виду премьер-министра Российской Федерации. Но, по крайней мере, мы попытаемся это сделать. Может быть, больше мы продвинемся на казахстанском рынке. И я думаю, что всем это будет полезно. Мы согласовали нашу позицию в области научной деятельности, что Кингсон-институт будет содействовать тому, чтобы наша научная деятельность велась, может быть, ориентирована на какие-то решения федеральных или региональных российских проблем. То есть мы собираемся работать с федеральной и региональной властью. тех регионах, которые заинтересуются. Я думаю, что мы поучаствуем в той или иной степени в выставке, которая будет в этом году, то есть в Санкт-Петербурге, Москве, Новосибирске, Томске, по-моему, Астане, но точно в Алмате. Вот. Я не знаю уровень представительства, но Кингсон институт будет представлен на этом уровне. Огромное спасибо Виктории Полевщиковой, Денису, ее супругу, что они пришли на церемонию и что они очень активно побеседовали, рассказали о положении дел нашему генеральному консулу. Огромная благодарность Светлане Фёдоровой, нашему замечательному фотографу. Она тоже очень плодотворно, скажем так, поговорила, имела беседу с Екатериной и нашим консулом. Вот. Я думаю, что вот это очень важно, что мы сегодня сделали. Конечно, хотелось бы, чтобы из 8 наших выпускников не одна только Вика участвовала. Ну, так получилось. У каждого были свои причины для этого. Но в будущем, я думаю, что перспективы работы Кингсон института и российских учебных заведений, генерального консула, в мае мы с ним встречаемся, как я уже сказал, опять уже в рамках КОИ, беседы с нашими выпускниками и студентами. Я думаю, что это дорога в будущее, и добро пожаловать на этот путь. Приезжайте к нам, учитесь у нас. Спасибо.
The academic session, led by the lecturers, followed by the members of council and the academic board.
In accordance with Australian tradition, I would like to acknowledge the Cadigal clan of the Eora people as the traditional owners of the land on which the King's Own Institute offers its teaching and where we meet today. Distinguished guests, fellow directors, college staff, graduates, family and friends. It's my great honour and pleasure to welcome you here today to the 9th graduation ceremony to be celebrated by the King's Own Institute. And I extend a special welcome to those of you who are joining the KOI gathering for the first time. It's a particular honour for us to welcome the Russian Consul General here today, but in particular, may I extend a warm welcome to Emeritus Professor Elizabeth Moore, who will deliver the occasional address at today's ceremony. I had the great privilege of working with Professor Moore for over a decade during that part of her distinguished career. She spent at Macquarie University. An outstanding leader, a great colleague and a wonderful role model. It's great to have you join us today, Elizabeth. Now, first and most importantly, I offer our warmest congratulations to our graduates. We acknowledge your achievements and share your pride and success on this important day. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge the significant contributions which your mentors and teachers have made to your academic success. And finally, I'd like to join you in paying tribute to the support and the encouragement you had from parents, family members and partners on this journey. Graduates, would you please join me in thanking all those who played a part in your success. May I point out to you that you are now lifetime alumni of the King's Own Institute. It may only be a relatively young university-level institution, but it's one whose reputation for high academic standards and for the quality of care it offers its students is already well established. And I'm confident that as KOI continues to grow and as its good reputation deservedly spreads, you'll be proud to acknowledge KOI as the place where you studied and where you graduated. I encourage you to keep in touch with us and support your alma mater. I'm sure you'll never forget our address at koi.edu.au. I don't need to remind you that we live in rapidly changing times. We talk about the coping with the impact of disruptive technology. If we're to function successfully in this ever-changing environment, we must adapt and innovate throughout our lives. You're probably aware that our political leaders on both sides of Parliament are eager to declare that Australia is a smart and skillful country inhabited by innovators and problem solvers, who include you as new graduates of a respected institution like KOI. And as we move into the period of noisy and vigorous debate which leads us up to the forthcoming federal election, we hear the repeated promises of transformed funding for crucial areas like healthcare and education, the devotion of funds to address the urgent challenges of climate change, the development of renewable energy, the construction of vital infrastructure, creation of new and rewarding jobs in our innovative society, and so on. But what does this mean for you? As graduates operating in various professional fields, we need to be ready to personally take part in the creation of new policy frameworks and the promotion of new opportunities to advance the cause of human progress in health and social services, education, science and commerce. Let me recognise that you're graduating at this time in a world that's trying to manage major economic challenges, political instability in some countries, and humanitarian tragedies and others. Wherever we live today in the interconnected global community, we can no longer distance ourselves from the impact of these events, nor from responsibility for assisting with solutions. At the same time, while we note that the Asia-Pacific region has become a central component of the global economy, increased prosperity in many countries in the region is still not equally shared, but is sadly accompanied by growing inequality of standards of living. And the trends that are underpinning widening inequality will have to be counteracted using a variety of policy instruments with new tax structures and commitments to the delivery of lifelong, inclusive and affordable education and healthcare at the centre of the effort to ensure improved equity and social mobility. In the democracies that we live in today, it's essential that we maintain our sense of the bigger picture, for it's only then that we can make well-informed and ethical decisions. And the most successful way to keep that balanced overview of the world we inhabit is to continuously look for new perspectives in our professions and to seek out new ways of helping our communities operate as civilised and supportive societies. And for these reasons, it's important for us to embrace the concept of lifelong learning. And I hope you'll never forget the importance of continuing to learn in a rapidly changing world. You might even consider undertaking some further studies at KOI to help you advance your career and to better equip you to serve as a responsible citizen in a world which presents us with new and unexpected challenges day by day. There's no doubt that we need smart, capable young people such as you to help us make the most of the rapidly changing world we inhabit, which is another way of saying, graduates, you have important responsibilities ahead of you. But let me say, I'm confident that with your attainments and your new skills, you're well prepared to meet the challenges of our times. I wish you continued achievement in the fields you choose to follow, whether they be in this country or in distant places. And I simply remind you that you have enjoyed the privilege of tertiary study, and with that privilege comes the responsibility of service to your community, wherever that may be. Never underestimate the power of your own example, and make sure that you persevere with your own idea of what you want to achieve in your life. On behalf of our guests today, I offer you all warm congratulations on your graduation and the best of success in your future careers.
Dr. Spencer, I present the graduates whom you have admitted to the degree of Master of Professional Accounting. Dr. Spencer, I present Navdeep Kaur, Master of Professional Accounting.
А вот наша Викочка.
Stefan Ludovic Marie, Bachelor of Business Accounting. Dilawa Mehmood, Bachelor of Business Accounting.
Наш пенсил. Вот наша Вика.
Kim Stephanie Molina, Bachelor of Business Accounting. Chunyan Lee, Bachelor of Business Accounting. Rufus Nicholas, Bachelor of Business Accounting. John Sukov, Bachelor of Business Accounting. Eufrosina Valesco, Bachelor of Business Accounting. Victoria Polevщикова, Bachelor of Business Accounting. Rehan Rafiq, Bachelor of Business Accounting. Cheyenne Rafiq, Bachelor of Business Accounting.
Денис.
Anis Rodriguez, Bachelor of Business Accounting.
До конца друг друга поддерживают.
Sifata Rahman, Bachelor of Business Accounting.
Well done, we look terrific. Fabulous. The occasional address is a very important part of any graduation ceremony. It's deserving of a very important person to deliver that address. Today is my pleasure, my privilege, to introduce Professor Elizabeth Moore, AM, to deliver the occasional address. She is the Dean of the Australian Institute of Management Business School, a former Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Macquarie University, and a former Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the University of Canberra. She is a former Dean of 3 business schools, including Macquarie University, Graduate School of Management, and the Australian Catholic University. Professor Moore started life as a classical ballet dancer, and you might see her special steps across the stage shortly, or you may not. Importantly, Professor Moore emigrated to Australia as a child from Hungary in Europe. She is currently chair of several not-for-profit boards in Sydney, in fact Australia-wide. It's my pleasure to introduce to you graduates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Professor Elizabeth Moore.
Distinguished guests, council and academic board members, KOI colleagues, graduates, families and friends. First, let me thank you for inviting me to speak today at this wonderful occasion. I have stood many times on a graduation stage, first at my own graduations, at those of my students, and then presenting graduates in Australia and overseas graduations. Today I am proud to take on 2 new roles as the occasional speaker and as a member of a COI advisory committee. Woody Allen, that great filmic comedian, started his own speech to the graduates with the following encapsulation of much of his own comedic philosophy, and I quote, "More than at any other time in history, mankind faces a crossroads. One path leads to despair and utter hopelessness, the other to total extinction. Let us pray we have the wisdom to choose correctly. I speak, by the way, not with any sense of futility, merely a healthy concern for the predicament of modern man, and because the real problems never change." Given that his speech was made last century, it's interesting that the sentiments still seem so apt today. and also that a comedian would have written them. Not strange, though, if you grew up in the world of theatre and drama, as I did. Indeed, one of the few specifics I can remember from my own university undergraduate days was the view that comedy was in fact negative and speaks of nothing but human limitations, while tragedy is positive and speaks always of aspiration and human freedom. You have experienced both aspirations and limitations during the course of your recent studies, and that has been a critical part of your learning, for academia and also for life. I hope you also learned how to have compassion both for yourself as well as for others, because there is no such thing as perfection and life is not a race. You are saying, what has this got to do with graduates educated at COI? Well, you have been educated the COI way, with a focus on academic rigour, nurturing students and preparation for a professional life in teaching English and in business. My initial education in the arts before my management and legal studies was grounded in creativity and interpretation. Today, with the growing interest in design thinking and business innovation, it has provided a great foundation for seeing management and leadership as a performing art. Indeed, the original management guru, Peter Drucker, stated some years ago, quote, that management is deeply involved in spiritual concerns, the nature of man, good and evil. Management is thus a liberal art. Liberal because it deals with the fundamentals of knowledge, self-knowledge, wisdom and leadership. Art because it is practice and application. More recent gurus, Bowman and Deal, in their popular management texts, emphasise the nexus of artistry, choice and leadership, claiming, quote, that artistic leaders and managers help us see beyond today's reality to forms that release untapped individual energies and improve collective performance. As mentioned, my background is in the creative arts. Initially as a musician trained at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music and as a classical ballet dancer who won a scholarship to England at the age of 16 and worked with the Royal Ballet Company and other companies overseas. Those trained in music and theatrical arts understand the nature of professionalism, creativity, insight, and especially discipline. They also understand the nature of partnerships, support, and collaboration. Yet this is actually the very stuff of which your future professional lives are made. No wonder then that management theory has turned to the performing arts, to dramaturgy, conducting, and to jazz musician and improvisation. Organisations today are demanding creativity, innovation, insight, emotional and spiritual intelligence, and knowledge creation and management. The goal is actually intellectual capital and invention in your 21st century. They also demand that we thrive in an environment of dynamic instability, as Dr. Spencer mentioned, where traditional certainties are no longer there, but where loads of new opportunities exist for you. I certainly learnt what the theatre had to offer. Unbelievably hard work, working through pain and exhaustion, not being able to take holidays, dancers can never take holidays, disappointments, mistakes, and at the other end about professional families, the joy of creation and interpretation, the magic of standing on a stage in a dark auditorium before you and engaging with the music, the choreography, your colleagues and your audience. I also found something you may have already found, that you are your own harshest critic. I learnt mostly about bodies and emotions, and this gave a lot of meaning to my life. I did learn about uncertainty, getting my chance as an understudy when the leading dancer was injured, watching in horror as the principal dancer's costume unravelled as she did a series of turns across the stage, wondering if my partner would drop me in our pas de deux that night because I had denied his sexual advances. Yet I found that this was not enough. Not the issue of sexual advances, of course, but the narrow ballet focus. So I joined the other side of the footlights, the other side of the entertainment industry. And all my management students constantly reminded me that lecturing and education should also be entertaining. I taught ballet and studied for my university entrance exams. I eventually found myself doing an arts degree and a PhD at UNSW, and then a graduate management and legal qualifications at other universities. So it is lifelong learning. Finally, surprisingly, I ended up teaching management studies, which is a long way away from Act 3 of Swan Lake if you're into ballet, and heading up business schools. I thought that when I first entered what I thought was the hallowed portals of academia, that I would learn and find all the answers. Of course, I learnt about a whole variety of disciplines and way of seeing ourselves and our world. But what I learned most, and what I know you will have learned most, was how to learn and discover, and found, instead of answers, an ever-increasing set of questions, including the old ones centred on understanding, truth, meaning and relationships. Note the relevance to you here is that recent literature on leadership is emphasising that great leaders do not have to know all the answers, but they do need to know how to ask the right questions. What have I learned since? I've learned to agree with Tom Friedman, famous journalist and author, who believes, quote, that the only certainty is the ability to engage in lifelong learning. So if you think that completing your degree is the end of your learning, think again. The sticker on my daughter's filing cabinet tells us that the road to success is always under construction. I've also learned that there is rarely one best way or one right answer for difficult problems and solutions and situations. That no matter how hard you try, surprisingly, not everyone is going to love you. That a sense of humour and perspective keep you sane, and that the ultimate lesson is self-knowledge and acceptance. As Arlette reminds us, you are not your resume. External measures won't repair you. Money won't fix you. Applause, celebrity, no number of victories will do it. The only honour that counts is that which you earn and that which you bestow. So honour yourself. I've also learned that self-knowledge reveals the good, the bad and the ugly in the education you receive from relationships, personal and professional. But these teach you lessons you cannot learn from books or formal education courses. One important one is that you can make straight A's in school and still flunk life. You can win the race and still lose your soul. The same is true in our professional lives, as that other management guru, Charles Handy, puts it, quote, unless organisations have got a soul and a conscience, they will not deserve their place in modern society and will not long survive. You've been involved in a learning partnership that, while it has enabled you to attain professional qualifications, even more importantly, it has equipped you with the knowledge and competencies of how to learn and hopefully an abiding thirst for knowledge, intellectual and emotional renewal attained through lifelong learning. But don't ever confuse being busy in your personal and professional lives with growing and learning, nor traditional career success as necessarily equated with life success and self-knowledge. It is critical, as Gardner says, to make time to look inward and learn from that, and to overcome the tendency to be fugitives from ourselves, remembering that after all, it is ourselves whom we meet at the end of every professional and personal journey. Today we are celebrating the end of one type of journey, one that is also a beginning, and of course celebrating academic success. But failures are part of all of our stories as well, constructive parts if you make them, when we discover what we have learned from them and formal professional successes. As we have seen throughout history, are not always equated with personal success. Gardner's advice is crucial, an important lesson which you will realise as you mature is reality. He says, life isn't a mountain that has a summit, nor is it a riddle that has an answer, nor a game that has a final score. Life is an endless unfolding, and if you wish it to be an endless process of self-discovery, an endless and unpredictable dialogue between our own potentialities and the life situations in which we find ourselves. By potentiality I mean not just intellectual gifts, but the full range of your capacities for learning, sensing, wondering, understanding, loving and aspiring. So congratulations on completing this part of your learning journey, and congratulations and thanks also to all your supporters on this journey. And finally, best wishes to you for a life that is fulfilled by lifelong learning and that offers you multiple paths and opportunities for renewal and growth, both for you and the organisations and societies whom you will serve in the unique patterns you make of your lives. And of course, for those of you who are fans of Star Trek, may the Force always be with you.